Have squats just never felt like a quad exercise to you? Same. For years, I squatted without ever feeling like my quads were the rate limiter of the motion. But that changed literally immediately the second that I learned the concept that I'm going to teach you today. And later in the video, I'm going to show you how to apply this exact concept to any lower body squatting motion that you do, like leg presses, hack squats, and split squats, not only the traditional squat. All right, so what's the main problem if you're not feeling your quads, and what's the solution? Well, it's actually really simple and really straightforward. If you're not feeling your quads, it's because the physics of the exercise aren't set up to load them. In other words, the problem isn't you, which is a good thing. It's actually just your setup and the way that your body is positioned under load. And even if you're 7 feet tall, you can make it so that your quads have to be the thing to do the work. So how do you do that? Well, put simply, you just need to position your body so that your butt gets smushed toward your heels. Take a look at these two squats. Intuitively, you probably know that the squat on the left is going to feel like your hips and back are doing all the work, and the squat on the right is going to just feel like pure quads. So how do we describe the differences between these two variations? Well, in this variation, the belly button is being smushed downward onto the tops of the thighs. And this makes it so that our hips move far away from the force of the ground, giving the glutes and back far more leverage to push us out of the bottom. But if you look at this variation, instead of the belly smushing down into the legs, the butt drops almost straight downward toward the heels. And now all of a sudden we're dealing with something totally different. Now this is an exercise where the knees are far away from the force of the ground, meaning that the quads have far more leverage to help push us up out of the bottom. Now you probably notice pretty quickly that I do have a plate underneath of my heels in order to do this. Many people, for whatever reason, view this as cheating, but this is no different from using any other piece of equipment in the gym. And what this heel elevation allows me to do is drive my knees forward away from my body. You can think about this just like walking down a steep decline. In order to stay balanced, your entire body needs to shift backward, which allows your knees to travel forward as you lower. And when you don't have a heel elevation, you're forced to lean your entire body forward, much like you would if you were walking up a hill. All right, so here are the key points so far. Number one, your knees need to travel forward in front of your feet. Number two, your butt needs to drop straight down toward your heels. Number three, to do these things, you simply just need to elevate your heel or put more pressure on your toes. So here are the two crucial mistakes that people are going to make when they try to apply this concept. Mistake number one is not using enough of a heel elevation. If I use just a little bit of heel elevation, I'm not going to be able to really drive my knees forward. I still kind of have to fold my belly toward my thighs. So personally, I like to elevate the heels around 20 or so degrees. This might feel a little bit weird at first because it puts a lot of the weight toward the front side of your foot. But don't worry, because this is what it should feel like. It should almost feel like you're doing a leg extension straight down into the ground. And that's the point. So a simple way to actually find this proper position for you is basically just to hold on to anything. So I'm gonna hold on to my door handle, but you can use anything at your gym, obviously, and basically just hold on to it and squat down to the position where you're kind of upright, your knees are forward, and they're super bent. And then once you get down to that position, you can basically just see, okay, how much distance between my heel and the floor is there? Put something to basically fit that space, at least approximately. So mistake number two is using the weight that you are used to squatting. Now, I'll admit, using a significant heel elevation and this technique is a truly humbling experience because you're only going to be able to use a fraction of the load that you typically would. But that's the whole point. That is supposed to happen. Think about it this way. When you squat like this, you're putting nearly all the tension on your quads and you're taking all the ability away from your back and your hips to contribute to any degree. So even though you're using less weight, pretty much 100% of that weight is being driven directly into the quads and nothing else. And that's exactly what we want when we're trying to grow our quads with any exercise. The way that you can tell if you're using too much weight and avoiding loading your quad is if you perform that stripper squat kind of thing where your hips shoot way back out of the hole instead of keeping your knees far away from you as you push. Okay, so how do you apply these principles to any other lower body pressing variation? Well, guess what? You already know the answer. We just have to apply it in different scenarios because the principles don't change. So take a look at these two split squats. Do you notice a similar theme between the two like we looked at before? In this variation, the belly smushes down toward the thighs and the hips and the back are going to pretty much do 100% of the work. But in this variation, the butt drops straight down to the heel, the pressure is mostly on the front side of the foot, and the knee travels far away as I lower down into the bottom. Same exact concept, different exercise. What about if you're using a machine like a hack squat? Again, the same exact concept applies, you just need to be able to see the forces. In this variation, note how my hips are far away from the load coming from the platform. Even though my torso can't move, my butt isn't really lowering to my heels, and my knees don't travel forward and backward much at all. But in this variation, notice how much the knee travels forward and backward away from me, how the heel drops straight to the butt, and how most of the pressure is close to my toes. This is what allows my quads to do almost 100% of the work in this scenario. What about a leg press? How do you apply these concepts to a leg press? Well, again, let's take a look at these two variations. What do you notice? In this variation, notice how the thigh is being again smushed toward the belly. This is because my feet are placed higher up and my foot can't really be pushed down toward my butt like we talked about before. But when you lower the feet down so that they're at the bottom of the platform, now all of a sudden the knee travels a lot in the up to down direction and my heels get smushed toward my butt, much like my butt was smushed toward my heels before. No matter where you find yourself trying to do this in the gym, you can just try to apply these same principles in every scenario. Make the knee travel forward and backward, make the butt and the heels move toward one another, and allow the pressure to shift toward the front side of the foot. That is the perfect formula for targeting the quads in any scenario. If any of this feels weird or maybe uncomfortable on your knees or your ankles or your feet, simply just start with a much lighter weight, progress the weight very slowly, and eventually you'll get to a point where you're much better adapted to the movements and the patterns. If you overdo this at first, it's not gonna feel good, it's gonna feel weird. So start with a lighter weight than you think that you need on all these variations and work up slowly over time just like you would on any new exercise variation. And if you're still watching at this point in the video, please subscribe and share it with a friend. And if you wanna learn more from me directly, check the links in the description below. I'll see you all in the next video.